There's a feeling that most people I know carry but never really talk about it. This quiet sense that everything works, the job, the routine, the life we've built. We'll never stop to think about, does this truly mean anything? I used to think that the problem was I didn't have enough. Not enough money, not enough things, not enough evidence that I was the person that I thought I was. So I optimized, I worked harder, I produced more. I bought the Jeep that I had been dreaming about for many years, but nothing truly changed. Today I want to reflect on that moment of emptiness after you're getting everything that you thought you wanted, but only realizing that the only thing that kept you moving forward was the wanting itself. I spent most of my 20s inside the same loop, same day every day. I'd wake up, go to work, do the bare minimum, come home and consume. I was practically addicted to my phone, just watching media, playing games, scrolling. I had no tangible goals. I essentially just had wishes. I wanted a new car, a new phone. I wanted to be someone worth being. And the strange part is none of this felt wrong. The loop itself didn't feel like a trap. Everyone else was doing this. It didn't feel like I was out of the ordinary. It felt like the only option. I want to reflect on what I've learned in the last 10 years. Not to give you a solution because I'm still in the thick of this, but speak about the system, how it keeps us optimizing and consuming and performing without ever thinking about what is this all actually for, and what happens when we start asking that question out loud. There's a version of work that used to exist where you made something and it was yours. You built a chair, you built a table, you painted a wall, you grew food. The thing that you made was connected to you. It had your fingerprints and it had your soul in it. That's mostly gone now. Most of us spend our days producing things we'll never touch. Reports, emails, slide decks, data. We're not building, we're just processing. There's a massive disconnect between what we do all day and anything that feels real. Marx had a word for this: alienation. The idea that when your work doesn't belong to you, when you produce things that are for someone else's benefit or someone else's purpose, you become a stranger to your own effort. You show up, you work, you collect pay, but something essentially has been lost. The connection between what you do and who you are. And if you're watching this, you probably know exactly what that feels like. You sat in meetings that didn't need to happen. You've written documents that nobody's read. You've sent emails just to prove that you were present. None of this feels real or meaningful. Not because you're bad at your job, you're probably really good at your job, but it just doesn't feel like it's really you. David Graeber called this bullshit jobs. His argument wasn't that the jobs are poorly designed or poorly made, but it's because the people doing them deep down believe that they shouldn't exist. Gallup's 2025 State of the Global Workforce report found that only 21% of employees globally are engaged at work. That means 8 out of 10 people spend most of their waking hours doing something that they feel disconnected from. That cost of disengagement, $438 billion in 1 year. But here's what I didn't understand for the longest time. The system doesn't just take your work. It replaces meaning your work was supposed to give you with things, with purchases, with consumption. You feel empty after 8 hours of meaningless processing, so the system offers you a reward: a new phone, a new car, a new gadget or tool, maybe a lavish holiday that you'll spend taking more photos than experiencing. And for a moment, maybe a day, maybe a week, the purchases fill the gap. The gap returns then, and the cycle repeats itself. And this is what I mean by borrowed meaning. You are not living inside your own story, you're performing in someone else's. The corporation, the employers, the culture or the system, the car and the status, the optimized routine. They come close to meaning, but not quite. And then there's a much subtler version of this. I see it everywhere now. People who figured out how to finish their work, let's say in 4 hours, and then they're proud of it, which they should be. The remaining 4 hours are spent on Netflix, scrolling, gaming, resting from the work that they just optimized for. They're buying back their time and spending it on consumption. And when you finally fill that gap, the difference between almost meaning and the real thing, what do you do with it? I'd bought a Jeep that I'd been dreaming about for 3 years. I remember sitting in it for the first day, hands on the steering wheel, waiting to feel the difference, waiting for the proof that I was the person that I was meant to be. But that never came. The car was beautiful and it drove amazing. However, I felt exactly the same internally. The dream had been louder than the thing itself. Wanting the car was pushing me forward, and when the wanting stopped, there was nothing left to pursue until I found the next purchase. Shortly after that, I moved to Switzerland, and it wasn't something that I had planned to be an escape, but that's essentially what it turned into. I turned up to a country where no one knew who I was. I didn't have to maintain circles or a status. I didn't have to maintain friendships that weren't serving me, and I could essentially reset who I was. And when the noise stopped, the buying, the comparing, the performing, something else surfaced. Something that I hadn't heard before, or maybe something that I had been drowning out for many years. I started walking, not for exercise, not for content. I walked because it felt real. It felt like something I actually wanted to do. Being out in nature, in the beautiful Alps, feeling the coldness on my skin, feeling the rubble and the rocks under my feet. All of that felt real to me, and I didn't look for these things. It's just what appeared when I stopped listening to what I was told to want and what I was pressured to chase. Thoreau wrote something in Walden that I keep returning to. He said that the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation, and that what we call resignation is confirmed desperation. But the part nobody quotes after that, a stereotyped but unconscious despair is concealed ever under the games and amusement of mankind. Unconscious. That's the word of desperation isn't loud. It's the background hum of your life. You never choose but somehow ended up inside. You never hear that hum until you slow down enough to listen for it. For me, Switzerland stopped the hum, but my visa ran out and I had to come home. Same city, same circle, same friends, same sort of pressures that were on me, all waiting for me like a suit that I'd left in my wardrobe. The old Luke tried to come back, and this is the part nobody tells you about. The clarity doesn't stay free. You have to protect it, you have to practice. I had to sever old circles, change routines, change environments, find new people. I essentially had to become a stranger in my city to maintain that person that I found abroad. The price was loneliness, the same that I'd felt arriving at Zurich, except harder. Being a stranger in a foreign country is an adventure, but being a stranger back home is very isolating. I pushed through it though. I brought the Swiss version back home and new friends, new routines. I built a life around me that I actually wanted. And I thought that was the answer. Clear the noise, change the environment, find the real underneath. But the truth is, clearing the noise isn't the same as hearing the signal. Here's what the subtraction revealed. I'd removed everything that was wrong, but removing everything that was wrong is not the same as building what's right. The external world was clean, but my internal world still had an open question. What do I actually want? Not what the culture or the system wants, not what the market rewards, but what does the person sitting here right now actually want for the rest of the years in their life? That's the question that I had to answer. I still work a corporate job. I'm still building the consulting business on the side. Still working on this channel in between my obligations and my sleep hours. None of this feels finished at all, far from it. The transformation I'm describing isn't one that's completed. I'm in the middle of it. I can't pretend that I'm at the finish line. I'm still far, far, far away. I think that's the part that matters most, because the version of the story where I found my purpose and I've won and I've become the champion, that's just another form of borrowed meaning. It's someone else's resolution pasted onto our existence. The philosopher Han writes about what he calls the achievement society. His argument is that we've moved from a world where control is from an authority like a boss or a king or a ruler to a world where we control ourselves, essentially. We've become entrepreneurs of our lives and ourselves. We set our own targets, we set our own deadlines, our own definitions of success, and then we exploit ourselves trying to meet them. The exploiter and the exploited is the same person, essentially. And that hit me real hard when I read that, because I had escaped to an extent the corporate world and focusing on other things, but I was in danger of building something new, a more sophisticated version of that. One that looked like freedom from the outside, but ran on the same engine. Perform, produce, prove. The real shift wasn't leaving the system. It was learning to stop borrowing meaning from other systems or other people and start authoring my own version of meaning. Authorship, that's the important word here. Not the purpose. Purpose sounds like a destination. Not passion. Passion sounds like entertainment or fun. The decision to write your own days and your own life instead of performing in someone else's story. That's the most important aspect of this, and this is what I found. For me, that looks like working for my future self. Every act of building, developing, practicing today is in service of that person for tomorrow. The person I'll actually have to live with in 10 years or 20 years time, I'm working for that person. Is it easy? No, definitely not. There are Wednesday nights where I've had 8 hours in the office and I come home and I don't want to do the work and I don't want to work on the channel or my consulting business. But You know, I have to push through it without any momentum, without any motivation. I just have to push through it, force myself to sit in that chair and produce, because I know I'm working for that future self. The path isn't clear, but it's achievable. And when I look at myself in 2016 and the amount of distance I've covered in the 10 years, you know, I have evidence. I have evidence that, you know, whatever I put my mind to, I can achieve it. It's not going to be overnight, but I have evidence that I'm taking steps in the right direction. And that's the most important thing. I think the feeling of meaninglessness isn't a malfunction. It's a signal. It's your life telling you that the story you're living inside wasn't written by you. And the solution isn't to find a better story. It's to start to write your own story. It's to become the author of your own path. Not all at once or perfectly, just one honest sentence at a time, one honest walk, one step at a time. Choose what matters to you instead of what the algorithm or what your culture or system is trying to tell you. Focus on what is important to you and start taking your steps into that direction. Rilke wrote, be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions. And that really resonates with me because the questions are the path. The moment you start asking the questions is the moment that the path starts to reveal itself to you. To leave you all with a question, what is one thing in your life right now that you're doing because you chose it? Not because the culture or the system or the algorithm is telling you that you should enjoy this. What is something that you have direct authorship over and control over and you're working towards for your future self? Leave that down below in the comments. If this reflection highlighted something that you're thinking about or you've been carrying with you, feel free to subscribe and come on this journey with me. I'll keep sharing what I find. Thanks for watching.